Hello everybody, this is Dr. Cole, coming to you a bit earlier this weekend. It's Saturday night, April 17th, as we now approach week 15 of Comparative Government Political Science 3143 for the spring term of 2021. Everyone, a set of assigned readings is going out for quiz number 8, which we will take not this week but next week. And then the final exam will be about a week after that. Quiz 8, not this week but next week, will cover 2 articles about India and 2 about Iran. Those are the last 2 countries we have on the syllabus for the spring term. I've sent you links to 3 articles, and I've sent you the entire text of yet another one for a total of 4. So please be sure you have all those and can access them. The quiz will be not this week but next week. Grades are due 3 weeks from Monday, which will be Monday, May 10th. I would like to have country reports by along about the 6th or 7th so that I'll have time to get them graded, look at them and get them graded in time for grades to be turned in on the 10th. I've heard from a couple of people about country reports. Remember, to be on the A track for the course, you must submit a country report. Still not too late to get started on one. I would like to hear from you about the country that you have chosen. And I'll try to offer you some assistance based on your choice of country for the country report. We have India on the syllabus for this week, Iran for next week, and next week we have quiz number 8 covering both India and Iran. And then the week after that, the final exam and the country report to be turned in if you choose to submit one. So you'll be concentrating on India this week, and then Iran and the quiz material the following week to wind up the course. It's India for this week. You'll be looking at the India-related material, especially in the class notes. So let me say just a few words about India. Important country, of course, along with China, one of 2 countries in the world with over 1 billion people. Some people think that India may eventually surpass China in population because of the effects of the one-child policy that China imposed and has now backed away from, but within the past generation. Not as rich a country as China, although it's moved somewhat in the same direction as China in terms of economic reform, and it has become considerably richer in recent times, as China was becoming richer, although China ultimately has had a bit more success at economic development than India. India often is described as the world's largest democracy because of the success it had implementing democratic institutions after it won its independence from the British Empire after World War II. That has been called somewhat into question now because of recent developments under Prime Minister Modi and the recent predominance of the Hindu Nationalist Party, the BJP. Now, international organization Freedom House recently has downgraded India. It classifies countries as either free, partly free, or not free, and it recently has downgraded India from free to partly free because of the policies and the tendencies of the Indian government under the direction of Prime Minister Modi and the BJP party. Immediately after independence, and for a few decades after that, India was an example of a predominant party system, and the predominant party was the Congress Party. Now, students will have heard of Nelson Mandela and his African National Congress in South Africa. That was inspired by the Indian National Congress, which is the independence movement that culminated in the successful independence of India from the British Empire. And once independence was achieved, the Indian National Congress became the Congress Party. There's a considerable diaspora of people from South Asia, from India, in South Africa. There's quite a few connections between the 2 places. In any case, the Congress Party remained predominant until recent decades, when we've seen the rise of Hindu nationalist opposition party, the BJP. This party receives support from people who think that India ought to be Hindustan, and that India ought to represent Hindu civilization. But as a matter of fact, there's a considerable Muslim minority in India. About 10 or 15% of the country, which doesn't seem like a lot until you consider how big and how populous India truly is. So there's always been potential and at times flare-ups of violence between Hindus and Muslims in India. And in the estimation of many, Prime Minister Modi has tried to appeal to anti-Muslim sentiment in India to build up support for his Hindu nationalist party, the BJP. So that's the most important development that has taken place in recent times in the past decade or two in India, that has caused some people to downgrade India to consider it to be less of a free country than it used to be in the decades immediately after receiving independence from the British Empire. All right, so India on the syllabus for this week, Iran next week, a quiz next week with 2 articles on India and 2 on Iran, and then after that all we'll have is the final exam and the country reports. So we'll talk to you next week at this time and say a bit more about the material we've assigned you for quiz number 8, which will be not this week but next week. That'll be our last quiz. And then about a week after that, the final exam and the country reports to be turned in. So be taking a look at the material on India, and we'll talk to you again about a week from now at this time. Take it easy.